Hello, welcome pen friends and welcome journaling friends. For anybody new here, my name is Chris and my channel is all about fountain pens and inks and all of that hobby. But yesterday I ran across an awesome journaling tag, and it's journaling tag 10. And it's from Bri at Documented Journey and Heather Mattern, and also Burgess Taylor did a video too. So that's at least 3 videos that I know of. And they all mentioned that anyone who wanted to jump in and make a video and answer these 10 questions was welcome. And in fact, they were encouraging and excited about that. And I thought, yeah, I want to do that. I love the questions. I enjoyed their videos. And it wasn't my first video on any of those 3 channels. So I thought, why have I been so disconnected from the other part of my love of writing and hobby, and journaling and everything, as far as watching videos, because I had a grand time watching them. So it was just wonderful. So without too much more, let's just start. I'm going to read the question, and then I have a couple memory joggers written down, but I'm sure there's going to be more that comes out because I like to talk. So, okay, the first question is, how long have you been journaling, and do you remember your first journal? Well, I know that my first journal was a locking little diary, but I don't remember how old I was. I would have to guess 10 years old. But at that point, making a diary or a journal didn't stick. I was just, I saw my mom writing in her diaries and I wanted one, and so it just kind of fizzled out. I don't have it, and I barely remember it. Just I remember that I wasn't going to lock it because I didn't think that the little key would keep it locked anyway. So, but then the next journals that I really remember, I was in high school. And again, I saw my mom getting these diaries that were A5 size, and they were printed at the top with the date and everything, and they were lined. And so it gave you one A5 page per day. And it had the main calendar in the front, and I just thought it was the coolest thing, and I wanted to do it. But Mom would always tell me, but are you going to keep up with it? And at that point, I didn't. But I didn't realize was that I could have continued to use that paper. I could have, covered the top and written in new dates and things like that the next year even, but I didn't really learn about coming back into notebooks until later, and I think that comes up on another question. So I had probably 4 or 5 over that like high school to 20s of that style, because I was determined every year that I was going to do it, but then I never really did. It wasn't my style, and we didn't have YouTube back then, and I didn't, I just used regular notebooks, and I didn't keep them and everything until 2004. So I know this goes beyond the question, but I hope you don't mind. I love talking about journaling. So around 2004, I was around 40 years old, and I had a lot to say to a journal, and I needed to get a lot of stuff out. And I started journaling much more consistently. But all of my journals before that, I didn't burn them, but I destroyed them. I shredded them. So darn, I wish I had them in a way. I really do, because I think right now the wisdom I could glean from them would be pretty good, and then I could burn them, have a bonfire or whatever. So I guess that goes beyond the question. So question number 2, what is the purpose of journaling for you? Why do you journal? Okay, so I do right now 3 types of journaling. And the first type I do is bullet journaling. And that is aimed at just keeping me on track, keeping my ADD brain focused enough to know what needs to be done that day, and to kind of feel a sense of accomplishment. So I do daily logging every day. And when I don't, I just don't feel like I'm coordinated at all. And I'm likely not to look back, on the monthly spread if I'm not doing my daily log. And I also have a yearly kind of a reminder, or I guess there's a word for that, but it's a spread where really important things, like I have a Guardian report and I have certain things that come up once a year. Well, I need that too. So the bullet journaling, it just keeps me in track of my life, and it keeps me realizing that I'm accomplishing what I was supposed to that day. even more so than a planner, because I can plan on a calendar or a little pamphlet style thing, but I need the bullet journal, I really do. So then my long form journaling, you know, that's just for me to, like, Dear Diary, just to, you know, pour things out, and also to get some perspective and see, you know, what's bothering me, what am I thinking about, but not in any way do I worry about analyzing that. I just get it out. And well, I don't want to answer future questions, so I think I'll keep it to that. But then my third type of journaling is process journaling, where I'm likely to use a lot of color and mind mapping and just kind of focusing maybe on one thing. Like I did one recently in my process journal where I just put things I'm looking forward to, because I was trying to think of one thing at the moment. You know, it was a negative kind of day. And I do all kinds of stuff like that. Or I will do one where it just is everything, pouring everything out in those little bullets on a mind map of what is bothering me, or what other things I think, you know, I need to be addressing. So it's really 3 different purposes. Okay, so I think I'll just keep going, because pretty much everything that I want to say all at once is covered in another question. So question 3, do you ever abandon a journal? Or do you have journaling breaks? If so, why? Okay, so it's rare for me to abandon a journal. I have an array of pens, and even if fountain pens don't work on a journal, I can find something in this house that will. But I did have one journal, which is so interesting, because I think Heather showed the same journal. This journal intimidated me because it's so beautiful and the paper's great. It's paper made in Italy. I got it at Barnes & Noble, and it's lined, and it's got beautiful cream paper. You know, it's just gorgeous. So it took me from 2016 to 2023 to finish this book, because I kept coming back to it when I had something that I deemed special. Like I had a writing challenge, and I had different things that I was working on. Like it started with an art challenge, actually. Well, it was an art workshop or something. Oh my goodness, I really went crazy with that. I even put a picture of me. But it took a long time to finish that notebook, because I didn't want to ruin it. Like I didn't want, I don't know. You know how it is. I didn't want to put all my la-di-da daily grind stuff in a beautiful notebook like that. But that's probably faulty thinking, so don't listen to me. But that has happened. Now, I don't take journaling breaks when I don't. I mean, and if I get lazy with journaling, like I don't have my bullet journal open, you know, for the day, or if I don't make a second journaling, because anyway, that comes up in another question too. If I get lazy with my journaling, things don't go well for me. So yeah, I've been very intentional about working in my journals and writing in my journals. I have abandoned a Hobonichi weeks, but I will go back in, paint in, fountain pen. You know, I'll find a way to utilize it. So it doesn't really get completely abandoned. Okay, then question 4, do you keep only one journal or many? Yeah, I've got at least 3 going minimum, and you know, there's always more, but the 3 I talked about are my main ones. And then question 5, what makes a journaling system right for you? What do you need in a system? Okay, so with my bullet journal, I really need a dot grid. So I love a dot grid. That's what works. And A5 is my preferred size for that. And then with my Dear Diary type journal, I really prefer a lined journal and good paper, because then I can go crazy with my fountain pens. And I like the A5 in that size too. It just seems perfect for me. But when it comes to the process journal, I want a large, what is it, 8.5 by 11, you know, full-size paper, lined paper. I also like that to be very fountain pen friendly, because I'm going to do a water brush and activate my fountain pen inks and make all kinds of mess in there. I do it intentionally. And so I'm using like a spiral for that. So then question 6 is good, because I'm dying to show those. Do you have a favorite notebook or pen when it comes to your journaling? Well, I've got like 3 favorite types of notebooks, and I've got them here. So let's see. For the bullet journal, it's always and everybody who follows me probably already knows this, it's always the Leuchtturm now. And it's the official bullet journal. I think it's edition 2 or something, but it is the 120 GSM paper because it'll hold my broad nibs in it, and it's got the dot grid, it's got the envelope in the back, it's got everything I want. And so I intend to, rearrange my budget to be able to always have one of these. So I love these. And then, let's see if I can not have an avalanche all by myself without my cat. And then for my Dear Diary or my regular journal, then it's always going to be something lined. And I really, really am gradually moving over to Tomoe River paper. I got gifted these 2 notebooks. This one's an Odyssey notebook with 68 GSM Tomoe River paper, and I finished this one. It's an A5, and it's perfect. It was lovely. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it checked all the boxes. It even had an envelope, which not all of them do, but I can fix that if I need to. But so that one, and then like for another example is the one I'm in right now. This was also a viewer gift, and it's a Graphilo. I can't remember the rest of the name of the company, but this is the best paper I've ever written on, and I'm concerned because I'm going to end up spoiled. I really am. And these are super pricey, but I think, I've now got a smaller one that's like a pamphlet size. And I was thinking, well, it just depends on what I want to use it for. But this is pretty tempting. This is a really nice notebook. The only thing is, it's not quite as wide. So I really like the full A5 size. So then the third of my favorite notebooks is always the CVS Caliber. And I've destroyed the cover because I have this thing I got at the Dollar Tree you can, do nervous doodling on. But it's got kind of like pockets too, because it's got these big pockets in the front, and I love it. And it's got the fountain pen friendly paper with lined. This is college ruled, I think. It's great. So like this was one I did with current stressors, I get colorful in there, but those are my 3. Now, the pens, we don't have all day, but still, I got some of my pens that I'm like using right now, and I guess I'll just talk generally. My current like fancy pen that I'm just wild and crazy about is my Benu Talisman, and it's got a broad nib, and this is the Mandrake, and it's just real inspiring to write with. It's so colorful and pretty, and it's got just an awesome nib on it. And I am a broad nib person for almost everything. So, yeah. But I put these 2 in here too because my TWSBI Ecos are just as much fun. And I am crazy about the Lamis. And this is an All-Star, but I love the Safaris, the Vista, and the All-Star. I love being able to switch the nibs real easily. And I happen to be just crazy about where the broad nib on the Lamis falls. So I think that's all we'll talk about right now, because the rest of my channel is kind of devoted to that. So let's see. I lost complete track of where I am. So that was 6. Do you have a favorite notebook or pen? So 3 notebook types and definitely 3 pen types and more, and broad nib. So number 7. How would you describe your journaling style? Oh my goodness. I had to think about this one. I'm kind of messy and it bothers me, but I don't really improve. I actually use a date stamp because I'll have one neat thing on the page, and that'll be the date stamped at the top. And I don't use a lot of fancy stuff anymore. I went through a phase where I tried that, and it just got in the way, I think, of me just writing and getting out my thoughts, my feelings especially. And so I quit doing that. But I'm likely to use a sticker now and then or washi tape because I like those things, and that's quick and simple. I'm likely to tear washi tape off of an envelope from a pen pal and just stick it on that date, and it's kind of neat. Sometimes I'll put which letter it was on, But I'm definitely messy. Okay, so the next one is number 8, and it says, who, where do you get your journaling inspiration from? And this is so interesting because I used to watch a lot of journaling videos, and art videos, and that's probably where I met the 3 ladies that came before me on this tag. But just what came to mind right now, I think I draw my main inspiration for journaling from Ryder Carroll. He's the creator of the bullet journal method, and he also has ADD, and everything he says resonates with me and helps me to just feel like my life is going better and I'm getting things done, and he's very, very minimal and simple in how he does his bullet journaling. And then the other person, as far as recent, inspiration, is Nicole Sachs, and she is like a therapist or a licensed counselor, and where I learned from her how to really process and get out the feelings was when I went through a really rough time with chronic pain in my back. And I learned all about mind-body connection, and then I learned how journaling can help that so much, like that we actually don't understand that we're repressing feelings, and it's going into our body. The body's keeping the score. That's another book. And, when we learn to really get all the gunk out and look at it, what we'll find out is that those negative things that are in there, they're not the whole picture. They're just one part of us. One part of us that hates having to do whatever it is we're having to do, and then the other part is actually really, really glad that we have this person to take care of, or whatever it might be, And so I really learned a lot from her. I don't know that she does YouTube videos anymore, but I'll link her channel, because if you deal with chronic pain at all, or if you have issues like that, you might want to check her out. Okay, question 9. What does your journaling routine look like? How often do you journal? And I journal at least twice a day, but it's the first thing I do when I wake up. With one exception, if the cats have got me up super early and I'm just not even on one cylinder yet, then I will probably read a little while before I journal so that my journaling is not, that darn cat, this is what they did to me. They like to wake me up at, starting at about 2, between 4, and then they're little zombies as soon as I get up. So yeah, they're lots of fun. They are. But so my bullet journal, on an ideal day, is open on the desk or the table beside it, and I'm kind of following and I'm remembering things, and I'm keeping track of what it is I'm doing. So I consider that journaling too. And I'll log down anything I want to check on later, because that's the kind of thing I don't want on index cards. I want it right there where I'll review my days at the end of the week and everything, and I'll see those little bits that I forgot to follow up on. So I'd love to have, and then in the evening, I almost always journal, probably while my husband's watching news or whatever, because I can never fully tune into news anymore. It's not good for me to hear. So it's okay to kind of, in the distance, be aware that there's something going on, and he'll bring to my attention if there's something real bad. But that's usually my journaling time at the end of the day. So at least twice a day. Okay, so then the last question. Oh my goodness, that went kind of fast. Number 10, your one tip for a beginner who wants to get into journaling. Okay, this is my one tip, kind of, and a whole bunch of thoughts about it. Do not let fancy materials and price and, overwhelm of what to use, don't let that deter you at all. Just jump in with any notebook you can find, because notebooks can be found from 50 cents on up. And, I'm older, so I'm remembering 10 cents, but I'm not so sure that could, I don't know if that ever happens anymore, because I don't go to the store very much, but just start. Don't get caught up in thinking you have to have a certain supply. You'll find out just kind of organically over time what's going to work for you. And it may be more than one thing. Like, I'm really blessed. There's lots of wiggle room in most of the kind of journals that I like. I'm not really completely set on any one brand except that Leuchtturm. I think I'd cry if they stopped making the 120 GSM, but I'd find something else because I do like numbered pages in that, and I like everything that they've done with it. So I don't expect them to stop making it. They'd be rather foolish to stop producing it because we're buying them. So, just remember that writing is the main thing, and you'll find out that your purpose for writing is going to change over the years. And it has for me. I think when I was younger, I know I did scrapbooking, and that's not journaling, but it's similar. And I kind of wish I had done memory keeping instead. I didn't really learn about all of that until just the last maybe 8 years. Because, I've been into fountain pens for about 8 years again. I had one in high school too. But there's lots of things that is so nice that we can turn to a community like this and pick up little ideas. But I think sometimes we get caught up in thinking that if we don't have, certain, and I'm not going to mention brand names, but if we don't have this and this and that and particular stuff, that we're not really, getting the most out of it. But I can tell you, and that's why I got another thing to show you. 2 notebooks, actually. And my people who watch me already have seen this, but this little notebook costs $3 at Family Dollar, and it's made in India, and it's lined, and it's hardcover A5. It's not as sturdy as, I listed a bunch of books, so I always have to look at my writing before I just show it. I don't want addresses and stuff to show, but, it's lined, and it's awesome. And it's $3. So be on the lookout for paper made in Vietnam or India or Brazil. Try it out and see which, I go right to the back of my notebooks and I try my fountain pens. It's not a deal breaker for me if they won't work in it. And I say that, I mean my broad nibs, because I have plenty of medium nib and they'll write on almost anything. It just depends on your ink. But I can see in here I had... Actually, I had Opus 88 Omar with broad nib and cross violet, and it didn't bleed through this. Let's see, I had some crap there, but, I did a pen test, that's all. So don't feel intimidated by the expense of journaling, because it doesn't have to be expensive. It never was for me when I was younger. It couldn't have been, because I didn't have that much, disposable money back then. Disposable money. Whatever. Okay, so then here's another example. Instead of a Hobonichi, this was a faux Hobonichi, and it is made, I don't know, in China probably, but it's just one of those options that was like $10. And, I had fun in there. I didn't get too fancy because that's just not me. The fanciest I get is a bold box and a sticker. So, that's my take on that. So I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed all of the thinking about it. And there was one more point that didn't fit in that great with any of the questions. So I'm going to just make it anyway at the end here. Bonus, I guess. It was my artist friend, Rochelle Payne. She's local here where I live. And I took art lessons with her and did some workshops in the past that taught me that it is okay to go back into an old notebook and glue in stuff and brighten it up and add to it. I never forgot that. And I've done this several times where I would go back into a notebook that maybe I had semi-abandoned, or it was not that pretty, or I wanted to see like, well, what was I doing that year? And then maybe I could find photos and it was just sort of part of the process to add to it. So it's never too late. Like you look at the notebook or you get in it and you think, oh yeah, that was that time. And I remember having a picture of that. So you can add things and you can really enjoy it. Or you can just go in with fountain pen ink and add color and then you can take a water brush, if your paper is good enough for it. So to be creative like that, I think watching the 3 videos from Bri, Heather, and Burgess Taylor, I think it kind of reminded me of some of the joy that I had earlier on. And I really, really think I'd like to start a notebook where I'm just creative and silly in it. Of course, I have an ink journal, but I didn't include that for this because that's sort of connected with having a YouTube channel and just showing what my discoveries were with ink. And although it is a journal, I don't see it the same. It's more, I guess it falls between a journal and an art journal because there's a lot of color and splashes and fun in there. But I would kind of like to do something that was more art journal and memory keeping. So there's nothing to stop me because there are empty books here. We all have empty journals, I think. We end up with lots of extra books. So thank you, all three of you, for inviting, and making it so easy to join in. And I will do the same. I will link their videos and the questions. And I would love to see some of my fountain pen friends answer these questions. I think it would be fun. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sometimes I get to thinking, oh, I've said everything there is to say, and they've seen my journals and this and that. But I think that there's always maybe one or two pieces of thoughts or inspiration that we can pick up from each other in every video or in every creative attempt to talk about these subjects. So that's why I wanted to do it. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching. Bye for now.